Friends and colleagues, what are you passionate about? Passionate.
The Passion Show on CFRU 93.3 FM Guelph, Ontario. With Wizard.
I'm a water wizard, Harry.
With
Hello world! You're listening to The Passion Show with Wizard on CFRU 93.3 FM. It's a do-it-together radio show all about passions and the people who have them. My name is Wizard.
And I'm Zimmer.
Zimmer! 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 Yeah, you know now.
I'm excited to be back.
You know about the chant. Welcome back! Part 2.
Part 2. Dear listener, this is a secret episode.
This is a passion show first.
I was so passionate about the show that I basically forced my good friend Wizard to rip back to the studio at gunpoint and re-record another episode because I have passions to share, and I think more than anything, I want a mulligan for the first time around.
Frick it, we ball.
Fuck it.
YOLO.
You just broke the rule of the passion show.
I said frick it.
Oh, okay, that's funny. That's good. That's a good catch. I was sitting there and I was like, I got something I want to ask my friend about that I'm also passionate about. Why wouldn't I do this on the air?
Okay.
And it's funny because what I wanted to ask you, one of the things I'm passionate about death. And I'm passionate about the way that death shapes our perception of the world, and more importantly, the echoes that people leave behind in our lives.
Okay.
And I was sitting there and I wanted to ask you, kind of to start, about your experience with the death of your recent grandparent.
Okay.
And I want to know kind of, did you eulogize him at all?
No.
No? Was there a funeral?
There was a funeral, but I was not asked to eulogize. I thought about offering that, but I didn't. It was the first major death in my life.
First major death?
First major death.
Like other people had died, but they weren't like core members of your
It was like Uncle Beanus. Isn't that crazy?
Beanus is a real name.
For real.
That's not a fake name.
Beanus. I'm deadly serious. I have close friends in my day-to-day life who have given me a lot of guff because I brought this up because he's a good man. And they're like, Wizard, you're telling a lie. You're telling a lie to my face. And I'm like, no. I'm being serious. Like, let me take like the Zimmer and Wizard like pact of like sworn truth.
Okay.
Beanus.
Is
Uncle Beanus.
How do you spell Beanus? B-E-A-N?
B-E-A-N-U-S. And the B is an emoji B.
Something about the U makes it even funnier. I thought it was an I, but that's even funnier that it's a U. Venus.
Yeah, the B has to be the emoji B. That's really important. No, obviously, I'm just kidding about that. Venus.
Okay.
So, but yeah, Uncle Venus died when I was like 10, probably.
Man, I had an Uncle Steve, and people are like, "Oh, everyone's got an Uncle Steve." You're making that up, but that's not even close to Venus.
Venus.
So Venus died when you were 10 or 11.
Yeah, like young. I don't know. I don't remember because we were never that close. Like none of these elders and mentors and important people in my life who've died. Even like my great grandma Rose died like 5 years ago, and I loved her. She was great, but there was some distance there. But Grandpa Larry was and is a very, very close thing to my heart, a close man. And so I was shell-shocked, essentially. I didn't cry about it for a whole year, I think. Less than, about 6 months, probably. I think he died back in February.
Okay.
And I was able to cry about it, finally. Not that there's anything wrong with the delayed reaction. I say finally.
Not at all.
Just because I was surprised to discover this in myself. I managed to have a big cry, I think, back in June. So it took 4 months.
That's crazy. Because I can empathize with that. Because often I find that like tragedy hits. I want to cry in the moment. I somehow can't because I can't wrap my head around it. Mm-hmm. And I find that I have to like kind of poke myself to cry.
Yeah.
So what I will do is I'll watch like a sad movie or a beautiful piece of art or something that would get me
I relate to that heavily.
And it like pops the bubble and all these tears coming out. And I'm not crying about whatever I've watched. I'm like,
You're crying about your own experience.
I'm crying about my own experience, but
that's such a
Marley and Me
poem.
is the vehicle
Really?
for the tears that I'm crying about. My.
Is that one that you use?
I've never used Marley and Me. It was just the first example that
I
popped
see.
into my head.
There are a couple like go-tos for me.
What are your go-tos?
I love that
What
you
do
brought that up.
How
That's
do you
such
how do you pop the
I
bubble?
have some fun ones. Some like weird, idiosyncratic, wizardy things.
Okay, what do you use?
Don Hertzfeldt's masterpiece, It's Such a Beautiful Day.
Okay, that won't make anyone cry. I don't think that's.
No, of course, but it's like a unique picture. Not everyone
But
knows
it's
what that movie is. I'm
utterly
getting at.
heartbreaking.
Oh my god, it's devastating.
Dear listener, please go watch It's Such a Beautiful Day.
It's a gorgeous. It's my favorite movie, or it's up there anyway. It's just the most incredible thing.
I think we started it. I said this is gonna hurt me, and you forced me to watch it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful.
You were in like a different world for weeks after we watched that movie.
I was in visceral pain for weeks after watching that beautiful masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. I got to see it in the movie theater twice last year because it had a movie theater reissue thing.
That's not like popping the bubble gently.
And we were gonna, yeah.
That's like obliterating the bubble, and then everything else kind of comes out. Like it's a
no,
big
you're right.
swing at the.
But I would
pinata.
just use it to like bawl every now and then.
No, because I use small.
And I don't
stuff.
do that anymore.
It's-
I also Big Fish is one that just will annihilate
Those
me
are big
anytime.
cries. Using big cries.
No,
to pop
I
the bubble.
didn't.
You're
Did
using
I? I
small
didn't
stuff.
mean to imply that my cries were little. Like when I try and cry, I try and like
You
cry.
really try to lean into it. Okay, interesting. 'Cause I think mine are a little more subtle.
Because that's a movie I go back to all the time.
Like I'll think about like Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye, wondering where the ducks go.
Oh, that's good.
And that'll make me cry, which I feel like it's a smaller thing than being like, I'm just going to subject myself to It's Such a Beautiful Day and just rip my soul open.
There's certain things. It's funny, like those. There's a time in my life, and it might still be the case. I don't know, where if I try to explain why those movies affect me in the way that they do, the act of explaining it will make me cry.
Yes, 100%.
Have you seen this happen to me?
It's happened to me when I was explaining to someone with you the plot of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I was explaining the scene where Spider-Man gets on the front
when the
of
hands,
when
they get to the hands.
carrying him back, and I got choked up. And,
It's a
and the
beautiful-
person looked. I don't know who we were explaining.
And
to.
you're a New Yorker now, so it's even extra intense.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I don't feel bonded to the city of New York at all.
No,
the way
I'm
that,
sure
like I
you
think
do.
a lot of people are.
I
But
think that might
it's
change
just
when you move.
It's just a beautiful moment.
It's beautiful. It is gorgeous. It's about, to explain it a little further, if those of you who haven't seen Spider-Man 2, there's Spider-Man at the front of the subway train. It's running. It's charging towards the river or whatever. It's gonna fly off its tracks, and Spider-Man's at the front. And he's shooting all his webs, and it like almost kills him, brings him to the brink, and he's gonna fall forward. And you see his logo on his chest. And you see one hand, another hand. They grab him. They pull him back in.
But that's not the part that gets me.
It's
The part that gets me is right after that.
Oh, of
It's a
course.
beat after
It's
that.
he's just
So what happens?
he's just a kid,
yeah.
no older than my own boy.
That's not what I'm talking about either. So
You're gonna have to go through me.
yeah. So Dr. Octopus, the villain of this movie, shows up, and Spider-Man's out. He's been defeated. He's exhausted himself saving the people of this subway car. He's lying there on the ground in the most helpless state we've ever seen our hero, without his mask, and he's just so vulnerable. And an everyday looking man steps out in front of this massive Superman. He says, if you want to get through Spider-Man, you're going to have to go through me.
Oh, when the little kids give him the mask, and they're like, "We won't tell nobody, Mr. Spider-Man."
It's so good. And they all step in front of him in the train. It's like an I Am Spartacus moment, but
It's
somehow
beautiful. It's
dialed up
perfect.
to 11. And that one gets me
It's
every
like
single
high
time.
opera, beautiful. It's like cheesy, but like it's done. Who cares? Like cheesy is a relative term, right? Like if it's done properly, that just means like operatic in the ancient way.
Mm-hmm.
And the end of that movie is also perfect. When he like realizes the monster he's become.
When he beats Dr. Octopus by not beating him physically, but by showing him the light,
compassion and mercy.
and love. Oh, I'm getting choked
It's
up
like
just thinking
perfect.
about
It's
it.
perfect.
Oh, what a
It's
perfect
like
film.
such an amazing only love will stop the killing type movie.
Oh, it really is. But God, that gets me.
The
And
rare
that-
invocation of that phrase outside the end of this show. truly is a bonus episode.
Truly is a bonus episode. Yeah, that gets the waterworks just flowing for me.
Interesting.
And then
it's been a while since that
I'll
movie.
cry about that.
Because that movie doesn't make me cry consistently, but it is beautiful.
I think describing it makes me more emotional than actually watching it.
Yeah.
But it really
The ending
really
always
gets
makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Describing the train scene makes me emotional.
Yeah.
What's Big Fish? Did I bring that up?
You talked about Big Fish.
The ending of Big Fish, when they see all of his people,
All the people he's talked
and
about.
the boy has to tell the story. He has to take on the mantle of a father, and understand. It's just perfect. It's so Wizard. It's the storytelling. Oh my God, he's carrying his dad, and he puts him in the river.
Okay, but to bring
And his wife is there.
It's beautiful. But to bring this all the way back around, you cried about Grandpa Larry passing
I did.
4 months after.
I think it was more. I think he actually died in 2024. I think I cried in 2025. It's weird. It's like gotten like lost in my memory kind of because it was just such a like out of time cerebral. It all took place in Saskatchewan. You know, like I flew out there and saw him a few months, like 3 or 4 months before he died. I went some like 2 weeks before he died. And then I flew out there for his funeral. And it all sort of happened there.
Tell me about the funeral.
And then I came here.
What do you remember about
The
it?
funeral was in Humboldt, I think.
The
Or it might
Broncos,
have been...
that's the
yeah,
one.
the very same. That's where... Was it Humboldt? It was either Humboldt or Nipawin, which is where they were going. Or it's where they were coming from. Anyway, both of that whole part of Saskatchewan is where my mom's side of the family has been for the past 100 years since they came over from Germany. So it was in one of those towns. I'm gonna say Nipawin. I'm gonna say Nipawin.
All right.
But it might have been Humboldt. Anyways, it was in a church. It was like a pretty classic funeral. There was an open casket, so I got to look at him. I stood there for a pretty long time.
When you remember that day, I find that grief and grieving days are especially funny because there's a lot of blurred, but the stuff that I do remember is crystal clear. And I find that with funerals a lot, that I struggle to remember it's kind of like a dream. I don't remember how I got there. I don't really remember what happened after, with one notable exception.
Yeah, I have no idea what the morning
But
or
the
evening of that day
funeral
looked like.
itself, they're very vivid images for me, and I'm not usually someone who remembers things visually that well. But for some reason, like they are like very like I remember the flowers at my grandmother's funeral. I can remember like the patch of grass and how that looked at my aunt's funeral and stuff like that. Like it's very interesting for me. I'm curious if it's the same for you.
Yeah, and I do remember things very visually.
Oh, you have a great memory. You have a fantastic memory.
Thank you. Yeah, I go up, I see him. I spent a
casket.
long time looking at him and thinking about him, and I touched him. I'm not sure if I was supposed to touch him, but I did. I touched his hand.
When you have that quiet moment with the casket, what do you think of or meditate on? Or like when everyone goes up, like I think they think about different things and they do different things. But when you have that quiet moment, just kind of like there,
Let me think about that.
what did you do?
It was the second dead body I'd seen. The first was my great-grandma Rose, who had died a few months earlier. And that one, I thought, I really actively tried to remember as much as I could. Mm-hmm. It's like, let me just run through like every memory I can summon all the way back to my youngest days and just like hold this with her. For Larry, it was not the same because I had too many memories to do that. But also because it was more intense because I had such a strong connection with him.
And he's like a foundational building block
he
in
told
the
me
person
to,
that I know and love.
Like I really, really, really looked up to him when I was a kid because he was so freaking funny. 13:30 is our timestamp for that. Half a swear. That's how it goes when that happens on this show.
Good.
And he was just so foundational in my life. He told stories about his own childhood from his memory. He had this really interesting conversational way of telling stories that I very much adapted. He has a ton of like funny little quotes that I say all the time. He used to call people pious, which I have taken. He would always greet a room by saying hello, 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 which is something I do with my family and just in general a lot. And like there are just a million ways he's influenced me. He had this incredible... Man, I'm going to air it out. You know, why not? So I'm going in a very roundabout way in answering your question.
Please.
Now I'm basically just describing the man, but might as well. We're getting into it. He was an alcoholic for basically his entire adult life. He started drinking when he was a teenager and did for forever, basically, throughout my mom's childhood and into his 50s, 60s, and 70s. He split up with my grandma when I was 11, right before I moved to Ontario.
Okay.
And that was shocking.
Was that a consequence of the alcoholism?
Yes, a direct consequence. And
man, shout out to your grandma for making it that long.
Right. It's crazy. And that was especially shocking because me and my sister had absolutely no idea that there was any tension there. And they have one of those funny, like, they're both like boomers, obviously.
Yeah.
And from what I can sort of glean, they had a pretty rocky relationship that was like decently functional.
Okay.
Because, they're just the kind of people who were raising my mom.
Yeah.
And lived in northern Saskatchewan. We're just like, okay, my grandma is like a trooper. And she, I think, was basically just like, okay, this is just what my life is. And then,
I can make this work. I'm smart enough and strong enough to make this work. And so I'm just gonna push through.
And it just got to a breaking point and they split up, and that was crazy to me. I was like, oh my God.
Did you always know that he was an alcoholic?
Nope. Had
you
no
know at that
idea.
moment?
At that moment, they told me. My mom was obviously emotional about it. Grandma hung out with us for a while. And it just like absolutely blew my little mind in half. Like, oh my God.
What do you think about
Because I just didn't know.
Do you think that your parents like actively tried to hide that fact from you?
Oh yeah. Because I was little. I was in grade 6 when it happened.
That's such a radical act of love too, right?
Yeah,
because they want to preserve your relationship with their parent.
Yeah.
Even though they clearly have
yeah.
like trouble. I don't know the specifics, but I can imagine that your mom had a pretty difficult experience.
She had a really rocky relationship with him. She was not the best father when she was a kid. He wasn't abusive, but he was distant because he was an alcoholic. But she always loved him and he loved her, and he had a hard time expressing that in a way that he didn't have a hard time expressing to my sister and I. Like, he was always a really good grandpa.
Yeah, I think that's always fascinating that like people have parents who don't really do a good job parenting or have very clear flaws parenting, who then kind of not figure it out, but just kind of are still good grandparents regardless.
The old Mike Ehrmantraut.
The Mike Ehrmantraut of it all.
That's funny.
And I'm asking you this because I had a very similar situation with my grandmother. So she passed away, must have been like 2017, and I remember going to move her out. And my dad and I, or my mom and I, are trying to like shift her furniture out. She lived in an old folks home, and she had like brought in some pieces that were hers, I think. And we like moved the couch, and the couch is heavy, like insanely heavy. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then I hear a clink. There's something on the couch.
What's on the couch?
The couch is full of like, must have been 12 40s of just vodka, just Smirnoff vodka.
Oh my God.
There's packed to the brim. And it was very clearly where she had like stored her booze stash. And that was the moment that I realized that my grandmother was an alcoholic. Up until that point, my parents, similar to yours, had sheltered me from it. And I was probably just a little bit less acute than I think most people are when it comes to that. Like, there would be moments where we'd be like, we're going to see grandma, but not anymore. Something changed. And I always thought that grandma was just kind of fickle and didn't want to see us, even though she loved us very obviously. But I realized that the way that my parents would do it is we would show up, we would pull up in the car, and my dad or my mom would go first up to see what state my grandmother was in and whether she could receive us. But I just thought that they went up to say hi to her and get her ready to come say hi to myself and my younger brother. But they were doing that pretty consistently, and I had absolutely no idea until, well, after she was dead that it happened.
That's crazy. That's wow. That must have been surreal.
It was a weird moment.
And not having any, like, that kind of just being the end of that story, eh?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, now you know.
And it's also like, what
Now what are you
kills
gonna-
your grandparent or
Yeah.
like my grandmother.
Man. 'Cause I'm like, the thing with Larry is that he died as a direct result of his alcoholism. It was his liver.
Yeah.
But he quit drinking 5 years before he died. He quit back
Holy
right
cow.
before COVID.
What
Yeah.
catalyzed that?
I think he was like, he had a bad experience or something. I never really got this clearly, but I think he had been trying to quit for a long time, for basically his whole life, and failing because of the dragon that alcohol is.
No, it's insane.
And then it just clicked and just worked. He quit and actually quit. And I think he might have like fallen down drunk or had something like that happen. But it was never made clear to me. Because I never I didn't want to like get too into it, because in my head, I was like, I don't want to be super disappointed if he relapses.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to see how this plays out.
And this guy is someone that you love dearly. He's
Exactly.
kind of one of your heroes, right? You don't
Exactly.
wanna
I never
tarnish that.
wanted to get too into it
Of course.
with him. But yeah, he was sober for the last 5 years of his life, and he did a lot of work to heal his relationship with my mom, which was
Wow.
very
Go
emotional. Yeah, right?
Go Larry.
It was like extremely, and I told him as so much, probably only once or twice, because it was just, and it's too bad. Like, I don't try and have any regrets, but I do wish I really addressed this stuff with him at some point when he was alive. But I did have such a, like, when he was around, he was such a good grandpa that he really like indulged my like child self when I was around him. Like when we were together, we were light and we played cards to the bitter end.
Larry influenced my life because I never played hearts before you showed me. And I think either he was there or your dad was really excited to play it, and I played it with your family when I came to visit. But yeah, Larry's had an impact on my life because I love Hearts. Hearts is
Hearts
a
is
great
great.
game. It was one of the greatest
he
freaking
gave
card
Hearts
games in the
to us.
world. And he gave Hearts to you. And
Yeah, so
he
there
gave
you
that to
go.
me. So thank you.
And yeah, so him and I, when we were together, we made each other laugh. We played a lot of Schmear and a lot of Hearts and a lot of Kaiser and all the card games. I'll ask him a lot about his life, like his young life.
Okay.
But we did not talk about booze. We did not talk about his relationship with my mom. And I think it's like, I don't regret it because I think he loved me a lot and he wanted to protect me from that darkness.
Okay.
And
it was like a mutually understood thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because we spent a lot of time together, and there was that understanding. But if I could go back in time, would I change that? I don't know.
But back to the moment of the coffin.
Yeah.
You're there. Are you trying to like think of moments that you guys had together?
I tried to have a empty and clean mind. Like a child's mind or like a beginner's
kind of meditative
mind.
In a way?
Yeah, I didn't try and think too much about anything.
Okay.
I stood there for a very long time. I couldn't say how long, but it felt like forever. I mostly just looked at him. I touched him a little bit just because I wanted to say goodbye in that way.
Yeah.
But I mostly just looked right at his face and just tried to take it. And I can still remember pretty much, like I can remember it vividly. And yeah, that's what I did. Okay. I think it was such a surreal moment that it did clear me out.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember there being any of those little inklings or whatever. It was mostly just, look at my grandpa. Isn't he beautiful? Love this man.
Because
let's spend this last little bit of time together in the only way that you can, really, with a dead person, which is trying to project my love into his body before it goes away forever.
I ask because as someone who is like somewhere on the spectrum between agnostic and atheistic, those are the moments, like right when you're sitting there at the coffin, where I speak in my head, obviously,
Uh-huh.
to the deceased.
Yeah.
And I try to like tell them stuff I would have liked to tell them in life. And I have this like one-sided conversation in my head.
Uh-huh.
And I think
That's like my default method of existence is having one-sided conversations in my head with people,
really.
both alive and dead. Like, it's kind of just how I think. So I'm doing that all the time.
Do you think that's part of why you're a great conversationalist? Because
Almost
you're kind of,
definitely.
like shadow boxing the entire time,
Yes.
and then you show up and you're actually in the ring with someone
That is
right now.
that is certainly the case. And I haven't done much research into this, but like different people describe their like inner worlds differently. Like some people don't have an inner monologue at all. Like they don't think in words, which is crazy to me. But
I've heard
everyone's
that too,
different.
and I have trouble wrapping my head around that.
I'm sure it makes perfect sense to
Actually,
someone who is like that.
I have thoughts that are wordless, but I do think in words, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, and
Or I can form words out of my thoughts.
I largely think, I think in like conversation. I suppose like a hypothetical person I'm talking to, or I just talk to myself in my head in like phrases that would be said out loud.
That's interesting.
Um,
Because I
and
talk
it's
to
just how
myself
I
out
be.
loud. Like I'll say like, Zimmer, you got this, buddy. Keep going. Like self-talk or something like that. But the conversations in my head are one-sided, and they're one-sided on the other end of the ledger. So I have you, I have all the people I've ever loved kicking around upstairs.
yeah.
And in more often than not, if I'm in a little quiet space, it kind of, it's almost like I can hear what they would say at me in the moment.
Interesting. I think we're pretty similar, but importantly different because you're not having a conversation with me in your head. You're just having me in your head.
I have this rendition of you upstairs. It's very like Eternal Sunshine, Like it's like my idea of the person and what they would say.
That's cute. A little wizard.
No, I think that's part of like, and that's how I know that I love someone is when I start kind of carrying around their anecdotes and thoughts and way of speech, and that's all ingrained enough that I can create that person in my head and have that aspect of them projected there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's we're so similar, but importantly different.
Different but distinct. No, I love that.
That's beautiful that you are intentionally having that moment of conversation, though.
Yeah.
In wizard style.
Wizard style.
with your deceased loved one.
And I think that
and it's funny that like on my end where I'm always doing that kind of thing, my
You're quiet
intentional
in that moment.
moment is to try and be quiet and not just be like talking with Larry like I always do in my head.
And I think
just let him be dead and let me be with him.
And I don't know whether it's hope or not, but in that moment, I think I believe that they can hear me. And for someone who doesn't really believe in an afterlife, or at least sitting here before you, I don't think I'm there yet. I think it's fascinating to see like a sort of faith manifest.
It's interesting that you say not there yet.
I want to get there.
Okay.
I always want to get. I am fundamentally jealous of everyone who has a truly, as to borrow a word from Larry, pious belief. like the people who have a true sense of faith. I'm always like, I want that. I want to be you. I can't quite get there. I feel like there is some aspect of me that won't let me bridge that gap. But I want to. I'm reaching. I'm reaching so far. These hands want to touch God.
Interesting. But like we're a little different. We're very different in that sense because my attitude is that I know, like we both know that divinity exists.
Yeah.
But my attitude is that by working hard enough, by creating art and conversation and beauty and love, we can manifest it in a way that is real and true. We can
and
create,
that imperfect manifestation is divine.
Yeah, we can create. I try and create God a little bit. This is perfect. This is a great.
You try to create God in the art that you make?
Yeah. That's the real passenger on this show. To finally put a real nail on the whole dear listener chair thing, is that the when I make the point of this show and the point of all the art I make is to is to transcend.
That's interesting. That's
And it's like that's never the stated goal, but that's like the implied goal to me. Like that's what beauty is.
Have I told you about my favorite religious idea?
No. Probably, maybe. Let's hear it.
So
have you told them about your
No, I haven't told our dear listener about
exactly.
it. So there's this idea from Judaism, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of it. But it's like the Tzadikim Nistarim.
Okay.
And
I've never heard of this. This is exciting.
It's the idea that there are 52 secretly divine people in this world, and they're doing nothing at all but holding the world together.
52?
52 secret people who are holding the world together.
What's important about the number 52? Why does that ring to me?
I have no idea. I'm not a religious scholar. I just love this idea. And I think it's a beautiful concept because these people in theory don't know who they are. They are not aware that they are secretly holding the world together.
Okay.
But all the stuff that they do holds the world together.
Okay.
The reason I love the idea is because when I first heard it, and I think when most people hear it, you think to yourself, could I be one of those people? And I think the like
that's funny, that never even occurred
that
to
even
me.
never occurred to you? Okay, so that's what occurred. I was like, could I be one of those people?
I wonder who these people are.
And the at least for me, the thought was like, it's very vain to be like, could I be one of the 52 secret angels of the world that is saving everyone all at once? Because obviously you're not. Like you can't.
I mean, maybe you are. Yeah.
But maybe you are. But you're probably, on a balance of probabilities, if there's only 52 people out there, there's probably more angelic people than you. But the thought is, it's kind of virulent in a way where you're like, but I could be, but I want to be. And I think that is what's beautiful about it. The fact that it's kind of catchy in a way, and it is guided the way that I approach the world, not insubstantially over the past couple of years. And I don't think
that's so interesting to me
that
your angle on that, like that is not. If someone told me this idea and said, "What do you think is the key takeaway from this?" then my intuition would be to say the important thing about this is to know that it could be anyone, that any person you talk to could potentially be one of the 52. But your takeaway is that...
But why not you?
Is that you might be...
But why not anyone?
Interesting.
And I think that it has made me a better person. Because I think that, like, if you think of yourself as someone's angel or as someone's as someone who could secretly hold the world,
this is a good line. You're reeling me back in.
You change the way that you behave. And I found myself, after thinking about this, being better at being nice to people, or more importantly, being very good at being deviously nice to people. So doing nice things to them without them knowing, without any intent to get recognition, but to secretly make their lives better.
You're using your creature for good.
Yeah.
Your dark Zimmer creature.
I do have a dark Zimmer creature, and I think that we can slowly repurpose them to do good for the world.
Oh, of course, because even at your most evil, and to sort of explain, you and I have implied this a couple times in the past 2 episodes. The Zimmer of the old days was like a real trickster. And you did some crazy things at camp. Crazy. What's a better way to say that? Just like some devious pranks and just like not even beyond pranks, just like stuff. Would that be accurate to say?
I think it's accurate to say. I'm trying to think of a good example that is safe to share with the world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fateful... no.
No, don't. Please. I know where you're going with that.
I won't talk about the fateful. So...
How about the Bluntstone, the golden Bluntstone?
Bluntstone's a good example. So there was this... We used to have a sort of trophy called the Golden Sneaker.
Beautiful. Amazing.
And at some point, we switched over from the Golden Sneaker to the Golden Bluntstone.
Terrible.
Someone made a new trophy. It was a small thing, but I think it was like culturally, to me, a little bit offensive.
Yeah, likewise.
I had grown up as a child with this golden sneaker.
And a sneaker is iconic, and a sneaker is accessible, and a Bluntstone is expensive.
But moreover, I think that I was just offended by the fact that someone would change something that I had an almost religious awe for.
Yeah, the golden sneaker was like like a holy item.
It's the Ark of the Covenant
It
of
is.
Camp Celtic.
Absolutely.
And to have someone mess
It's
with
the
that,
boon.
to come,
It's like an ancient boon. It's like the thing that you're trying to get in your
and it's
story
like, I
of a
know
week.
that's not the golden sneaker. I know I can't believe you're doing this. It's blasphemy. It's heresy.
Yeah.
And so
The golden sneaker is a trophy you win if you win cabin cleanup.
Yeah, if you, win cabin clean, you can clean up your cabin the nicest out of everyone. And we're talking with such reverence about it. You get a cheesy, smelly sneaker that's been
Your
sprayed
name
into gold
is permanently
and hammered
indelibly
onto a piece of wood that has also been sprayed into gold. It's not exactly spectacular.
Your name is permanently, indelibly, yet invisibly etched upon it.
That is the spiel.
Hilariously, you get to hold it and get your picture taken, and then that's it.
That's it. That's the end of it. But I had the director at the time had very clearly a preference for handing out this golden Blundstone. And I was offended by the golden Blundstone, and so, of course, in natural Zimmer fashion, I decided I didn't like it, so I was going to burn it. And so I did. I burned it. It no longer exists.
I
It went
remember
up in
seeing
flames.
you and whoever was your cabinet walking
Strudel.
with. Yep, and you guys had it in a tote.
We
believe.
were hiding it inside of. It was stupid. It was dumb. But the point is, we burned it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Where did it go?"
I think I was one of the only people who knew, other than you guys.
And I used to say up, and they would go, "What does that mean?"
Where is it?
And they thought it was a hint. I had hidden it somewhere up, but it's no. It went up in smoke. And they figured it out eventually. I think I apologized for it, but that's a good example.
And that's funny. This reveals something about our relationship, because, dear viewers, listeners, if you're attentive, you'll perhaps have noticed that I've been jeering this on, and that I have tried to. I think it's great that your angle was just that you don't like the Blundstone, and I had to. My brain goes for the Blundstone represents wealth, and the sneaker represents the everyman, and that's how my evil creature is, that I enable Zimmer bad man.
That's true. You have egged me on to do some crazy stuff. And I think it's funny because you're kind of Teflon in these scenarios, because someone's like, "Oh, lovely old wizard. He had nothing to do with that." When you were like, "Do it."
See, that's why my name had to go on the donkey, because I had to finally, at least in some way, take my lumps for my evil.
Yeah.
We had to go on there together.
You had to finally pay your penance. You had to, after committing crime after crime and being the mastermind behind a bunch of terrible acts, you were like, you know what? I deserve this.
Yeah. The Silver Donkey Counselor of the Week award is where you go when you make it a little silly.
Actually, I think we're onto something interesting here, because now that I'm talking out loud and I'm talking about being atheistic, my religion, if there was a religion hole in my life, what Dennis of Always Sunny in Philadelphia calls his God hole, I think I filled that to a large extent with camp for most of my life.
Yeah, that's speaking of pantheons of gods.
And speaking of pantheons of gods, I think that I used to idolize the camp counselors, and there's definitely a certain religious awe to
absolutely
everyone's approach to this place that we love.
That's where it comes from. See, we've manifested. You manifested divinity. You and I and plenty of people have always referred to those grounds as being holy grounds.
Yeah.
Because they contain so much context and power, and I think that is physically true.
They carry a certain collective belief associated with it, and I think that, it's really a fascinating thing.
And just like, the director of Camp Lumpy is always saying that the secret sauce is the counselors, and an extension of that is the belief in camp that we bring. The same could be said about any religion. If everyone on earth died, then God would die, essentially.
And I think that camp is perpetuated by our belief. Yeah, exactly. I'm locked in on that. I don't think I've told you this before. I don't think I've told anyone this before.
Oh.
But
breaking.
The very last day I was at camp.
Very last day.
I went into my favorite cabin, which was Tundra at the time.
Blessed.
And
my first cabin.
Remember being okay, it's time for Zimmer to die. And I killed him in that cabin. Or I killed the idea of him in my head. And I was like, he's dead now. Yeah. I am just my real name, and I'm no longer Zimmer, and that's the end of that. And I drove off from camp.
And in Tundra.
In Tundra.
That's beautiful.
And ever since that day, I think I've been trying to get a little aspect of old Zimmer back, but I've never quite gotten there. Because
You're a
something's changed.
gradient through time.
It's a gradient through time.
You can never go back.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can go forward. You can go forward to the Zimmer of the future,
Yeah.
which is always accessible. And here you are. You've done it.
I guess so.
In a certain sense, you've manifested Zimmer right here in this room, I would say.
I'm glad you feel like he's here.
Of course I do. I felt like, when have I ever referred to it not as Zimmer?
That's true.
I carry, you gave a lot of yourself to me in those 5 or 6 years that we worked together at Celtic. Enough that I've been able to reconstitute and, manifest Zimmer in me, projecting Zimmer onto you and creating a space where you can be Zimmer just with what you've given me of yourself. I think that's the truth. I think that's a bit of a silly metaphor, but I think it's also, like, in a very real sense, the case. The you that I experience, the you that you are when you're around me, and I don't know the you that exists in Harlem.
I guess that's true. We leave parts of ourselves in other people.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right, that no, it's easy for me to slip back into that when I'm surrounded by people who I
if
with.
You're not Zimmer right now, then who are you? If of course you're the 29-year-old version of Zimmer, not the teenager version of Zimmer that we're talking about.
But I miss the teenage version of Zimmer.
But you can never go back.
You can't go back.
You can never go back. But so this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. And we're right back at death.
We're right back at death.
That takes us right back to death. You can never go back.
Yeah.
The Zimmer of our childhoods is gone forever, but the Zimmer in front of me right now is better than anything to me. And Grandpa Larry is 6 feet under up in Humboldt, but I carry him around to this day.
Would you say a few words for Uncle Larry? What would you have said if you were to eulogize him? Do you have time for that?
Oh, we have lots of time. If I were to, oh man, to improvise a eulogy, that's a great prompt. I'll take it slow. Grandpa, how am I going to structure this? A eulogy is meant to be for the audience and not for the deceased, right? I'm going to talk to you about Larry.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to talk to Larry.
I've heard a couple eulogies that were directed at the person, which were interesting. But I've also, I think generally speaking, you speak to the people and you tell them about your experience with the person.
Grandpa, okay, I'm going to do that. Grandpa Larry, Larius P. Herman was a true storyteller. From the perspective that I saw of him, me, Wizard, his grandson, I learned so much about the world through his stories. The way he would paint his life for me was deeply inspiring. He lived a hard life. He grew up in the north of Saskatchewan. It was cold. They were not wealthy. And he was just one of a dozen siblings. He knew death well. There were some tragic young deaths in his family. He knew alcohol. He knew struggle. He knew many jobs. I'm not sure he ever was locked in on what he did as a career in a major way. He was a teacher, he was a vendor, he was a politician, he was a real estate guy. He was so much. And he found himself in the end when it seemed like anyone else's story would have been done. He found himself, and he came out on top, and all he had to do that. Imagine if this were a real eulogy in front of people. That'd be good. All he needed to do to find himself and to win was to accept love and to accept his weakness and come forward in truth and vulnerability. And that's what let him open up. That's what brought him back to my mom. And that's the best story I think that Grandpa Larry ever told. That's the one I'm gonna, I forget the stories he told me when I was a kid. I don't know the moccasin story as good as my sister. He told a lot of other stories that I exist as vague little things that inspire me when I tell my own stories to kids. But that the real story that Larry told, the story that he told with his life, is a story about someone losing their way and against all odds finding their way. And that's the life of Larry S. P. Herman. That's my eulogy.
That's beautiful.
We found a thematic line in the end.
I'm fascinated about the bit you said about accepting his weakness.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that that's something that like we all need to do? Is that a pious act, generally speaking?
Oh, yeah.
Accepting your own weakness?
I think the pursuit of self-knowledge is piety.
Hmm.
And I think there are a lot of ways to go about that. Creating art is one of them.
Yeah.
But not everyone has that as their calling. I'm sure there are other ways to do it. I don't know them because creating art is my calling. But I think that one of the big reasons why alcoholism is such a corrosive force is because it's a way to, and I'd like to remind the audience that I'm a baby boy. So, this is my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol, one of the big things that's so terrible about it seems to me, is that it allows you to escape your weakness, right? And like erase your weakness in an internal way.
In terms of like inhibition?
Yeah. You don't have, you can just, right? And I'm not saying anything new here, I don't think. You drink a bunch of booze because you feel bad, then you don't feel bad anymore. And cutting that out means you have to feel bad and you have to feel foolish, and that's hard. And you have to come to your family and say, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, take me as I am.
But the dose makes the medicine, right? And this is me stealing a line from our good friend of the show, Teskey Baldwin.
Oh yeah,
but
future guest.
His pitch is that alcohol can be medicinal.
Oh, well, yeah.
And that like a little bit of it, lowers the inhibition and it brings people together, and that is a very beautiful thing. But obviously, compound use and addiction and is an entirely different story.
Yeah, I suppose when I'm talking about alcohol in a pretty major way, I'm talking about addiction.
Context, yeah.
And yeah, so many substances and just things in the world exist like that, and that dichotomy, the whatever Hegel means, the Hegelian thing.
I remember the name.
I
don't remember what his specific.
It's so funny that I'm invoking this, and I just know so little about it. But I vaguely remember someone explaining this to me. Essentially, it's just alcohol can be two things, opposed things at the same time.
I agree. Yeah.
Anything can be two opposed things at the same time. And booze certainly is that. I've had such a funny relationship with that substance over the years. I recently just did 100 days sober just because.
Okay.
No real reason. That's how I maintain a good. Because there's a lot of alcoholism in my DNA and family. So I'm maybe if every few years or whatever, I just say no booze for 100 days, and that'll help me maintain a positive relationship with it, and maintain a good dose for the medicine.
I find that as I grow older, I found that I was less enticed by alcohol. And what that came down to was me realizing that I really liked drinking alcohol as a kid because it wasn't allowed. It was something that you weren't supposed to do. And as soon as, I turned 18 and I went to Montreal, and they were just like, oh, yeah, drink. It's fine. Just have a glass of wine. I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, I just have this? And there's like no one does.
No one's gonna get mad at you.
Everyone's like so nonplussed by the fact that you want booze.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh, this isn't interesting anymore. Like the fun was gone from the game. And the game was just breaking rules. I just like breaking rules. I don't like booze.
That's funny. And that's like it's such a complicated substance that there are like so many ways to form a relationship with it. Mm-hmm. It's almost lucky that that's your relationship for it, because it's so easy to grow out of. Yeah. Yeah, I was always a big, like when I was a teenager as well, I used it to like cope with depression, and that was bad. Mm-hmm. And I had some pretty negative experiences. And so I quit. You remember my year of sobriety when I was, I think, 21?
Yeah, I remember that.
And that did a lot for me. And that was also thanks to some family members. I think that actually might have been when that was inspired by Larry.
Really?
I think that it just happened that he had become sober. Yeah, so there you go. Isn't that neat?
That's crazy.
And that got me out of that spiral.
Would you?
Death. We're in the last 4 or 5 minutes now.
Okay.
So after 2 hours of conversation, it's time for you to lay down the law, get the heavy hitters.
All right, Wiz, to wrap it up, would you try eulogizing our good friend Larry again, but as if he could hear you? Like if these radio waves can reach our friend.
So let me talk to it. I'll just say my final words to him.
What would you say to him? What would you want him to know?
Grandpa Larry, I love you. I think you're a beautiful and interesting and funny and sharp man. You're incredible at games. I'm just describing you, Larry. You know this stuff. I am going to miss you, but I will carry you with me. I don't even that's what I got to say to you, Larry. I'm talking to you again.
Yeah.
He knew how much I loved him, and he knew that I thought highly of him. And I am lucky. Mm-hmm. I am very lucky that we left each other on those terms. The last action I ever took with him is I played a game of cards with me, my mom, my sister, and him. My sister and I played on a team. Grandpa and Mom played on a team. Usually when we played cards together, I was on a team with him. But he was on a team with my mom, which I think is beautiful. And I was on a team with my sister, which I think is beautiful. Especially because right around the time me and my sister were just starting to get closer together again. And even though was in some real brain fog because he was quite close to death, he was so sharp that night, sharper than he had been for weeks, according to my mom. And they won that game. And I got him to sign the scorecard. It says the Right Honorable Larry's P. Herman Esquire. And I framed it and I gave it to my mom for Christmas. And it's sitting on our piano right now. And I think that is a good physical metaphor for him. The Right Honorable Larry played his game to the very end.
In a game where he kicked everyone's butt.
And he won playing with my mom, which I remember being very, very happy that happened. Because I knew I wanted to keep it, because I knew that was the last game I'd ever play with him. I knew he was going to die. And so...
That's a crazy testament to his intelligence and endurance, right? Just
oh, yeah.
You're on death's door and you pull out one last trick to win.
One last trick, exactly. It's a trick game. And don't worry, Grandpa. One last thing I'll say to Grandpa that isn't just recycling what I've been saying this whole hour. We're still playing Schmier. The beautiful Saskatchewan German card game is still being played. My friend Logan Wolf, if you're listening to this, hey buddy, texted me about asking for a clarification on the rules of Schmier last night. So the game's being played. Your game is still being played, Grandpa. And for as long as I live, and hopefully it is passed on beyond me to future generations, it shall be played. You're a pious man. I love you. And on that note, we have found ourselves at the end of this hour, part 2 of the Passion Show. Giving ourselves a little bit more time than normal to say gratitudes because it feels right. I'll go first and you can go second. That way you get to end the show just like last time. I'm grateful for Grandpa Larry. I'm grateful for finding new space in this format. For example, recording 2 episodes of the same person back to back. That's something I've never done before, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for my skin, grateful for my muscles. I'm grateful for, that's true. I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for the community that surrounds me. I'm grateful for love and truth and divinity. I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for death and life and my family and my chosen family. I'm complete. What are you grateful for?
I'm also grateful for your Uncle Larry, or Grandpa Larry.
Uncle Beanus.
Uncle Beanus. I'm also grateful for Uncle Beanus. That's a bit that will
rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace, Uncle Beanus. I'm grateful for the quiet moments of friendship we share, and I am grateful for life and death that gives life meaning, and for everyone I keep dancing around in my head.
I'm proud to be in your head, and you're in my head always. Thank you so much for being here with me again, and thank you, my dear listeners, for trusting this passion show with your time. There's only so much time in a day, and my listeners, you're not my listeners, you're part of the show too. I feel like we really invoked that, by tuning in. You are what makes this show real. You're, me, the guest, the radio waves, we all come together to honor the higher power that is connection and love, whatever it might be. So thank you. Grateful for you, my listeners. That's right. I can't believe that I accidentally was grateful last. It's supposed to be you who's grateful last. Quickly, what's one more thing you're grateful for?
No, that's beautiful, Liz. I think we should end on that.
Okay. So I'm going to take that as a ditto. I've been Wizard.
And I've been Zimmer.
And please remember that only love will stop the killing.
Only love will stop the killing.
Seul l'amour arrêtera le meurtre.
Only love.
Тільки кохання зупинить вбивство. Only love.
Only love.
Nur die Liebe wird das Töten beenden.
Only love will stop the killing.
Only